We've all held a crisp banknote, feeling that little thrill of possibility. It represents value, a promise of what it can buy. We trust it, work for it, save it. But what if I told you this piece of paper, this fiat currency we rely on, has a much darker side, a side that has silently shaped history, toppled empires, and could be affecting your life right now in ways you haven't even imagined. This isn't just about economics. It's a story of power, control, and the hidden fragility of the money in your pocket. Let's start with a concept we've all been feeling lately. Inflation. You go to the grocery store, and everything is more expensive. Your salary just doesn't stretch as far as it used to. Why? The simple answer is that the value of your money is decreasing, and a primary reason for this is the creation of more money. Imagine you have a pizza cut into 8 slices. Now, imagine someone magically adds 8 more identical slices. Your original slice is suddenly worth half as much. That's essentially what happens when a central bank prints money, not always physical cash, but digital entries in a ledger. They inject more currency into the system, and each individual dollar, pound, or euro becomes less valuable. This isn't a new phenomenon. History is littered with cautionary tales. Look at the Roman Empire. To fund its massive armies and lavish spending, emperors started debasing their currency. They would melt down silver coins, mix them with cheaper metals like copper, and mint more coins. People quickly realized the new coins contained less silver and demanded more of them for the same goods. Sound familiar? This led to rampant inflation, economic chaos, and was a major contributing factor to the eventual collapse of the Western Roman Empire. Fast forward to the 20th century, to the Weimar Republic in Germany after World War I, saddled with immense war reparations. The government decided to print money to pay its debts. The result was hyperinflation on a scale that is almost impossible to comprehend. Prices would double in a matter of hours. People were paid twice a day and would rush to stores to spend their wages before they became worthless. A loaf of bread that cost a few marks in the morning could cost millions by the afternoon. People used wheelbarrows to carry cash for simple purchases. Their life savings, pensions, and dreams were wiped out, turning into worthless paper. This economic devastation created a desperate population, paving the way for extremist ideologies to take hold, with catastrophic consequences for the entire world. More recently, we can look at countries like Zimbabwe and Venezuela. In the 2000s, Zimbabwe experienced hyperinflation so extreme that the government eventually printed a $100 trillion note. 100 trillion, and it was barely enough to buy a bus ticket. People's wealth vanished overnight. In Venezuela, political and economic mismanagement led the government to print money relentlessly, causing the bolivar to collapse. These aren't just abstract economic events. They represent real human tragedies, where families couldn't afford food, businesses shut down, and societies crumbled. The common thread is always the same. When the power to create money out of thin air is abused, the public pays the price. The money in your bank account is not a fixed store of value. It's a promise, and sometimes that promise is broken. Now, let's talk about crashes. The very system of paper money and credit allows for booms and busts on a massive scale. When money is cheap to borrow, mining interest rates are low, it encourages everyone, from individuals to massive corporations, to take on debt. People buy bigger houses, companies expand aggressively, and investors pour money into stocks and other assets. This creates an economic bubble. Everything looks fantastic on the surface. The stock market is soaring, real estate prices are going through the roof, and everyone feels rich. But these bubbles are built on a foundation of debt and cheap money, and they are inherently unstable. What happens when the central bank decides the economy is overheating and raises interest rates to cool things down? Suddenly, borrowing becomes more expensive. Those adjustable rate mortgages reset to higher payments. The cheap credit that fueled corporate expansion dries up. The party stops. People start selling assets to pay off their debts, causing prices to fall. This selling creates panic, leading to more selling, and the bubble bursts. The most famous example, of course, is the Great Depression. The Roaring '20s were a period of massive credit expansion. People were buying stocks on margin, essentially with borrowed money. When the market crashed in 1929, not only did their stock values plummet, but they still owed the money they had borrowed. This created a domino effect. Banks failed because people couldn't repay their loans. Businesses collapsed because no one had money to buy their products. Unemployment skyrocketed. The promise of prosperity turned into a nightmare of poverty. We saw a modern version of this in 2008. Again, low interest rates and lax lending standards fueled a massive housing bubble. Mortgages were bundled into complex financial products and sold to investors worldwide. Everyone assumed housing prices would only go up. When the bubble burst, the entire global financial system was on the brink of collapse. Major banks failed, and governments had to step in with massive bailouts funded, ironically, by creating even more money in debt. These crashes aren't acts of God. They're a predictable, recurring feature of a financial system built on the elastic nature of fiat currency and credit. The boom makes a few people very rich, but the bust often leaves ordinary citizens to clean up the mess. This brings us to the most unsettling aspect of paper money: control. When you hold physical cash, you have a degree of anonymity and direct ownership, but the world is rapidly moving towards a digital, cashless society. Every transaction you make with a debit card, credit card, or digital payment app is tracked, logged, and analyzed. This data creates a detailed profile of your life: where you go, what you buy, what you believe in. Think about the power this gives governments and central banks. In a fully digital system, they could have complete oversight of your financial life. They could, in theory, implement negative interest rates, or your savings actually decrease over time, forcing you to spend instead of save. They could instantly freeze or seize your assets if you're deemed a dissident or a threat. We saw a glimpse of this in Canada during the trucker protests, where the government froze the bank accounts of protesters and their supporters without a court order. Furthermore, central bank digital currencies, or CBDCs, are being developed by countries all over the world. These would be a direct liability of the central bank, giving them even more granular control. A CBDC could be programmable. Imagine money that has an expiration date, forcing you to spend it, or money that can only be spent on certain approved goods and services. For example, during a climate lockdown, your money might be blocked from purchasing gasoline or airline tickets. This may sound like science fiction, but the technology and the motivation are already here. The move away from physical cash isn't just about convenience. It's a fundamental shift in the balance of power between the individual and the state. Paper money, for all its flaws, offers a last bastion of financial privacy and freedom that we are on the verge of losing entirely. So, where do we go from here? The story of paper money is a story of a tool that has enabled incredible economic growth, but also carries the seeds of its own destruction. It's a system that concentrates power and creates instability. As we stand on the precipice of a new financial era, with the rise of digital currencies and the decline of physical cash, it's more important than ever to understand these hidden dynamics. What will the future of money look like? Will it be one of greater centralized control? Or will new technologies like cryptocurrencies offer a decentralized alternative? The path we choose will not just define our economy. It will define the future of our freedom and our society. It's crucial to stay informed, ask critical questions, and not simply accept the system as it is, because the future of money is too important to be left solely in the hands of bankers and politicians. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this exploration of the financial world interesting, please hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives. Let me know your thoughts on the future of money in the comments below. See you in the next one.